Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second episode of the Magpie 24/7. I am the Magpie 24/7 podcast. Obviously, I'm joined with Joe. Joe, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Not too bad. How are you?
I'm great as well. Thank you very much. Today, this is obviously the second episode of this podcast since we are back the second season. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about. We're talking the Barcelona game, we are talking the Bournemouth game, we are talking some informed Newcastle United players, and we are talking the one player out of our squad who we think will take the biggest step this season. So please join us for this entire chat while we start at what has been a very, very busy week for Newcastle United. On Thursday, we faced Barcelona. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think the initial start, I mean, first and foremost, before the game even started, the fans, I think, were unbelievable. I think the display we had at the beginning shows European sides that we're here to play, we're here
Yeah,
to fight.
completely agree.
Yeah, so I think that gave us a good boost before we started. The start of the game was good. I think we were on top for the first, I'd say, yeah, 20 minutes, half an hour. I'd say we were all right. We were good. Had chances that we really should have put away, in my opinion. I think Barnes had a really good chance.
Yep.
And I think Gordon, I think at one point, I think it's did as well. But yeah, and then towards the end of the first half, I think we dropped a little bit, but we kept the tempo up. It was quite good. Second half, well, I don't know. We seem to think lack the intensity we had beforehand. I think Barcelona then woke up and the amazing team that they are showed us why they won the La Liga and why they're one of the best teams here. Rashford turning up. Uh, yeah, out of any
Again,
team had to
yeah,
be us.
obviously, yeah.
Um, I think, yeah, both goals really, I think, avoidable in some ways defensively.
Yeah, yeah.
Share stepping back a bit, I think, on the first one, not getting
Hmm.
in front of Rashford, and Burns' clearance on the second one. Obviously, it could have been a bit better, but
Yeah,
he was, I think, off balance. And the second goal, I think, with Rashford as well, it was just an unbelievable finish.
yeah,
It was
it's
a
an
great
absolute
finish.
stunner. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we could argue with that. And I think, yeah, Gordon scoring obviously in the 90th minute as well. It was good to
Hmm.
see that. I think the play for that goal as well was some of the best football we've seen. Well, I think all season for
Completely
us.
agree. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was just a shame that we couldn't do anything with the first half performance, but it was a good sign. I think with the rest of the Champions League, I think we can get some good results.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You make some very good points there. Especially in the first half, we did have many chances, and if we are facing opposition such as Barcelona, especially in the latter rounds of the Champions League, we are going to have to put those chances away. But then again, Voltemade wasn't playing, Visa still isn't playing for us, so we are still lacking that natural finisher, and it shows
Mm.
today yet again. It really shows in this team. But it's also a positive. We are creating those chances. I think Elanga had a really good game on the right. He created a lot of chances by just outrunning every single Barcelona defender and squaring it, which is exactly kind of what you want him to do because that's what he did for Forest last season. So I
Yep,
think that's why we bought him. Apart from that, I also thought Tonali was fantastic yet again, getting
absolutely.
stuck in between everywhere. For the second half, though, I think it's probably the maturity of this Barcelona side and the experience which showed. They weathered the storm. They were probably even lucky to go into halftime even. So they took their moments when they presented themselves for the first goal. I think it was poor defending on Cher's part because Rashford actually doesn't move at all during the attack. He just stands in the middle of the box and I mean the cross is absolutely sensational. It finds it absolutely perfectly and he finishes it really well.
Brilliant header.
But we
It was.
know yeah, we know he has a great finish in his feet. It's just up to you whether you give him the chance to get that finish away or not. For the second goal, I mean, yeah, sometimes you do concede those goals. But as
Yep.
you said, I think our goal was actually the most positive part because it shows something that Eddie Howe has clearly been working on. It's the understanding in between those players, wanting to combine quickly with them. I think Voltemade was doing a lot of those things in the first half today as well. So that's something to look forward to.
Absolutely. I would agree. Absolutely. And say, I think Thiaw when he came on as well, Malik Thiaw. when he came on. I think he was composed. He
Yeah.
was a breath of fresh air for the team as well. Obviously, he didn't result in a win for us or what a result we wanted, but I think it showed, yeah, we've got good people off the bench, good players to come off the bench and make a difference to a game. Um, but yeah, I think a lot to take from the game. A lot of positives, but also a lot not tips as such, but a lot of things to improve on for
Yeah.
definite.
Yeah.
I say especially with PSG away, that's going to be a tough game.
Hmm. Are
Obviously,
we
the
happy
last time we
about
were in the league.
how are we happy about PSG being the last game?
I mean, if we can get results before that game, I
Hmm.
think, yeah, I think that's not a bad game to go to. We obviously have been there before
Yeah.
in the 23-24 season, I believe it was. Yeah. Obviously, the unlucky handball call on Livramento.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I think we can,
They are lucky now that they don't have to come to us, I'd say.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think, yeah, another game like that would be lovely if we get
Yeah,
a
I
away
agree.
result. But
I agree.
yeah, so yeah, but yeah, with the Barcelona game as well. I've got some stats here that I looked into.
I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, so the expected goals, which it shocked me a little bit, was in favour of us actually.
Okay.
1.46 expected goals for us
Hmm.
and 1.31 for Barcelona.
Okay.
Which I'd say for the start of our season and the start of Barcelona's, I'd say I find that really interesting. I think
I
obviously with our
agree.
slow
Yeah.
start and their fast attacking football, their defensive displays, I think yeah, it's really really interesting.
Hmm.
But I think I mean, looking at the shots on target and the shots we had as well, our 10 shots we had, six were on target, and we had only five were on target, which
Okay.
I think it shows that yeah, with our attacking, I think yeah, when we're going forward, we are showing that we can be a threat, but we are
Hmm.
lacking that finishing touch, lacking that
Yeah.
finishing display at the end. Which with Barcelona, they've had less shots on target, but more goals than us, which I
Hmm.
think proves that we've got a worry, I'd say, up top for the time being. I think Voltemard not starting was an interesting choice, but yeah, I think we need to be playing him
Yeah.
as a threat because I mean, look at the height we have with him, his technical ability at his feet.
Hmm.
I think yeah, he should be starting more games, but obviously the fitness side is the question.
Exactly. That's the
He's not going to
one.
be used to the Premier League. He's not going to be used to the Champions League as much. But yeah, I think we should be using him more. And obviously when Wiss is back, I think that'll be a godsend as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree. Yeah. Yeah, as for Voltemade, I mean, I was surprised to not see him on the team sheet as well. But then I started thinking Eddie Howe is probably trying to get in behind of Barca's defense because they have probably the highest line in European football.
Yeah.
But and he also probably already decided that Voltemade was going to play 75 minutes against Bournemouth, so he probably wanted to save him as well because he had already had cramps against Wolves. So there
Yes.
is that. We obviously would have done with Wissa, but I mean, it is what it is. Gordon is showing a lot of determination and a lot of grit when he does have to play in that striker role, and it's not for a lack of effort. It's just that natural striker's instinct that we are so sorely lacking. And
Yes.
as for Voldemade, specifically on that instinct, that is the one thing I'd like him to prove me not necessarily wrong about, but to prove to me that he does have that. Because although the
Mm.
first goal he scored was incredible, it was a very good header and his positioning was great. Today, there was a lot of times where either Livramento or Hall were creeping up the pitch and coming towards the opposition's box. And instead of running into the box to get on the end of a cross, he was coming towards our fullbacks to combine. And he's very good with those combinations. But then we have nobody in the middle again. So that
Mm.
is something I think Eddie Howe will point out to him, and we have to find either a way around or just teach him to not do that so much.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
All right. And the last thing I would like to say about the Barcelona game, we rallied late with the Gordon goal, but I mean, we do have to give credit where credit's due. The way that Barcelona played out the match, and then especially the two midfielders, Pedri and Frankie De Jong,
Yeah.
that was
Um,
incredible. That
yeah,
was a schooling of how a professional side plays out a game.
absolutely. So yeah, especially in the second half, I think you saw in the latter stages of that game that they've had the experience. Even Pedri, he's still a young player, and he's
Mhm.
had so many years experience in that midfield. Yeah, there's Andy de Jong as well, obviously at Ajax as well when he was there, a brilliant midfielder. But it just shows the quality that they have, the experience they have, and they're used to
Yeah.
this every season. And I think, yeah, absolutely, as you said, I think we do need to commend them on
Mhm.
a pretty valiant display, especially coming to St James's Park,
Yeah.
where you've
Not
got
not an easy way, Joe.
50,000 Geordies, yeah, screaming and putting you off. But yeah, they came, had a game plan, and they executed it
Yeah,
as they
exactly.
would, as Barcelona would. So
Mhm.
yeah, it'd be like yeah, interesting
Yeah.
to see what happens for the rest of the Champions League season for sure.
Yeah. And are you optimistic about the rest of the Champions League season thanks to the Barca game? Or maybe in
Um,
spite of the Barca game?
yeah, it's a good question. I think I'd like to say yeah. I'd like to say that I think we can get some wins, we can get some draws, and try and keep the losses down to a minimum.
Mhm.
I think we could, yeah, with a display like we did against Barcelona. I think if we fine tune a few bits here and there, especially in the attacking quarters, then I think we stand a good chance, especially against your teams like PSV. I think we've got.
Yeah, I
USG,
agree.
Union Saint
Yeah.
Galois, I think they are. Yeah,
Yeah.
Leverkusen, I think we could get a result with, but we know what
I
they're like.
completely
I
agree.
think late
Yeah.
results with them. Yeah, I think we could get. I think we get some good points.
Yeah, without going into too much detail about our future opponents, because I mean that could be a whole podcast in and of itself.
Yeah,
I
because
think PSV could be an easy win because the one thing that PSV can't handle is physicality, and now let that be our specialty.
yeah,
Leverkusen had very much have their own struggles. Bilbao have their own struggles and are missing their star player at the moment. Union, it's their debut season in the Champions League, and they did impress. I mean, I think they did impress everyone who isn't Belgian
yeah,
last week against PSV, but we are kind of used to this Union side. They are very rigid, very defensively solid. So go traveling to Belgium, it's not going to be an easy game. It's going to be a very, very tight game, a very gritty game. But I mean, against Marseille, they still haven't found their best 11. Who am I missing out in this list? Benfica, who just have sacked their manager. So I think there are a lot of points for us to grab and at least get into that 8 to 24 spot, which I mean is
absolutely.
probably what we're aiming for.
Yeah, so I don't think we're aiming for the higher end. I think we know that yeah, your PSGs, your Manchester Cities, your
Mhm.
Arsenals. I think they'll be the challenging for the top eight. Um, but yeah, if we get that mid-table, I think yeah, that's a respectable result for us. And I think if we play the way we did against Barcelona, and yeah, fine-tune those little bits, I think yeah, we'd be deserved mid-table yeah opponents for people. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and
absolutely.
afterwards it really starts because on a two-legged game, ask Arsenal last season, Newcastle is not a fun opponent to draw. So afterwards,
Mm,
anything can happen. Any predictions
absolutely.
on where you think we will end up this season
Is this in terms of Champions League or
in
all
terms of
round or
Champions League? Yeah, in terms of
Champions League?
Champions League.
I'd like to think that we would get through to the next round.
Mm-hmm.
I think round of 16, I think we could get to. I think,
Okay.
yeah, it depends. I think it depends on our route and our
Yeah.
opponents
Yeah.
getting
It
to that.
probably.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's so early, obviously, in the season to
Mm-hmm.
call. But I think we could go to round of 16.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
It's really hard to talk about anything else but the potential winners when it comes to the Champions League because of those
Mhm.
draws, because of those qualifications. I completely agree.
Mhm.
I think with that, we can round off the Champions League topic and move
Yeah.
on to the first one about our players. Would you like to start on who you think will take the biggest step out of our squad?
Yeah. I've had a good think about it actually. So yeah, since you talked to me about the topics,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a few shouts. My top person I would say probably be Malik Tiao.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he's a solid signing. I think he's going to bring a difference to our defense. I mean, yeah, as I said, the game against Barcelona, he was composed when he came on. I think the game today against Bournemouth, obviously, which we'll touch on later on,
Yeah.
he was pretty solid as well. Had a few hiccups here and there, but as does any player on a good day or
Mm-hmm.
a bad day.
Exactly.
But I think he's going to bring a composure to our defence. Not that we don't have that initially. But I think, yeah, even with the start of the season, we've been pretty solid defensively. But it's when he's come on, I think things have changed. He drives forward as well, which I like. He's not passing around the back constantly. He's looking to go forward, give us another option. But I think he's really going to grow into the season. I think
Yeah.
it's a yeah, obviously early days as we say constantly here. But
Hmm.
I think by the end of the season, I think he would have been one of our best players.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think he's growing in confidence a lot, and I like that about him. He was uh, out of every one of our signings. I mean, he's probably the one who, to me, flew the most under the radar because, I mean, he's a defender signing. So naturally, when we have all this chaos going on over the summer, he's the one you'll think the least about because you suspect he will just fit in. So he will just fit in easily. But that's usually not how it goes. Replacing a defender, especially such an important defender like Fabian Scher has been to us, it's not an easy task at all. And I mean, he's done really, really, really well in his absence so far. So yeah, I completely agree with you. Great shout.
Mm,
This is
absolutely.
also great about this podcast already. You can't say we're not giving what is advertised because last
Yeah,
week we talked about the Voltewalde, the Visa, the Ramsey signing, and here we are already with the Tiao talk. So
yeah,
we're going over everybody. That's the positive about having so many different opinions on Newcastle United. If I
absolutely.
was going for my player this season, I would like to talk about Tino Livramento because I mean we we know how class he is and he's really 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 good. But really really do think that at the end of the season we could be talking about one of, if maybe the best right back in the league. Because if you are looking across all the other teams in the league, for one, right back is a real problem position. There is a reason Manchester City were looking to pay a lot of money this summer to sign him. It's a really hard position to recruit for, and he's young, he's homegrown, but he also has every single asset you want him to succeed. He has the engine on him, he has the want on him, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important things, especially when you come and play for Newcastle United, because you know going to get stuck in everywhere. He's so lovely to watch because his burst of energy is great as well. He gets past his man. He combines unbelievably well with our midfield. And at the start of the season, I found that his positioning has become a little smarter. He's popping up in interesting areas, and it will take a while for the rest of the squad to catch on to that during a game because it's all so fast paced. But eventually, when an interesting position from his goes right once or twice, people will start to notice and he will get that ball more often. And that's when I think he will get more output in terms of goals and assists as well, which is, in my opinion, the only thing that keeps him from those best in the league conversations right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think yeah, an absolutely brilliant shout. I think since he signed for us, he's been one of our best players, and
Mm.
I don't think I'll hide away from that fact. Um, he's been solid for us, and yeah, as you say, as he's grown into the team, he is popping up in these different positions, and he is offering different options for us, which is it's so important for us, especially with our lack of goals. I'd say this season as well, when he
Yeah.
can get that the goals and assists inside like
Mm.
in his play. I think yeah, he can be up there with one of the best defenders in the league, and I think that other fans would agree as well. And as also, if you as you've said, Man City wouldn't be going for him for no reason.
No.
But yeah, so he would have been a good addition to them as well. But thankfully, we still have him. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
long may that continue as well. I think with
Yeah.
him and Hall as well. I think Lewis Hall,
Hmm.
um, he would be another shout for me. But I think last season he proved that
Yeah.
he's I think
He's up
he's
for
yeah
it.
going to be one of those players, and he's yeah up for it for
Hmm.
sure. Yeah, um, and I think both of them on either side as well. I think that's
Yeah.
going to really come in clutch for us.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I also think Livramento is the one in out of those two which you have to start because Hall
Yes.
did a really, really great job of replacing the output that Trippier had on the right hand side when he kind of started dropping off a bit and started to come out of the team more. And that was exactly what we needed because otherwise, I mean, especially the creative part down that right hand side was completely gone. And now that's just moved to the left hand side, meaning either Trippier plays and then Livramento plays on the left, and you have that combining ability, that burst of energy on the left and a creativity on the right, or it's just the other way around when Hall is partnering Livramento. So it's that incredible balance. You can just pick and choose what side of your opponent you'd like to attack most. I mean, Eddie Howe must love to have that ability at his disposal.
Absolutely, yeah, because you have the different tactics you can use a game, especially with the different opponents we have, Premier League, Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to have the different tactics available to you. Yeah, I don't think Eddie's afraid to
Mm-hmm.
exploit those tactics and get them out there. I think yeah, it's good to have that option
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
No, I completely agree because Eddie Howe has been tinkering and trying new things all at the start of this season. He's probably had to do so because of some circumstances he didn't plan for. But it does show signs of a great manager who is willing to adapt, because even a great like Antonio Conte had to admit last season that he was too rigid to his beliefs for the entirety of his career up to now, and that's why his Napoli are looking so undefeatable at the moment, because he's finally starting to adapt to new things. So seeing someone like Eddie Howe already take that into his stride can only be a really exciting thing for us.
Yes, agreed, agreed.
All right. If we were to move on then to the next topic, what would you like? 3-3-2-2-1-1 or 3-2-1-3-2-1?
Uh, let's do 3-3-2-2-1-1.
All right.
I think
Yeah.
yeah, we can compare the yeah,
Great.
let's do it. Yeah, compare the
Fantastic.
players and see what we can. Yeah,
Okay. In that case, I have in at number 3, Kieran Trippier, because I believe we need to talk about the kind of late career revival this man is having. That maybe that sounds a little disrespectful, and I very much don't mean to be, because he is a fantastic player who has had a fantastic career both for us as overall, and he was massively important when we first signed him. But then we have to admit as well afterwards he kind of fell off for 12 to 18 months there, and he
yeah,
was really, really struggling both with the pace of the league and with the fixture congestion in our Champions League season. But he has picked his form right up, and especially when Lewis Hall got injured, he stepped up for us yet again, proved his importance to us yet again, got us into the Champions League yet again.
mm,
And he started the season really, really well again, in my opinion. He's a mature leader. He's a very, very calm presence on the pitch, which you very much need in such a turbulent period in the club's history, which this summer has absolutely been. So I believe he really deserves the shout.
yeah. I think yeah, that's a good shout for yeah. So he definitely brings that leadership, I think, to the
Mm-hmm.
team. I think he can control a team's emotions. He can control how they should be going about certain situations on the field. And I think yeah, he keeps our players grounded. A really vital part of our team, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe yeah, Carabao Cup final. I think yeah, he played obviously, and he was incredible in that,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
showing
he
his
was.
true leadership skills.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, last season he did have that period of play where he wasn't playing his best. He was quite sloppy. I think there was a game against Chelsea. It was,
Yeah.
he made a poor mistake and it allowed them back into the game, and they
Mm-hmm.
went on and won the game. I think that was the League Cup actually. It might have been the season before we won it
Yeah, it
actually.
was the season
Uh,
before, because
yeah,
afterwards, in the same week, he kind of screwed us over against Everton as well. So that was a
yes,
bad
that
week
was
for
it.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think a lot at that point. I think the fans were turning. I think not all fans, but quite a few fans were turning.
Hmm.
But yeah, he has turned it around, and I'd say yeah, start of the season he's been an imperative part of the team, and I think off the field as well. More importantly, especially as you say with the turbulent window we've had
Yeah.
with Isaac and whatnot, is he's a good person to have around. I think yeah, he keeps them composed, and we are lucky to have him.
Yeah. Completely
Very
agree.
lucky
Who
to
have
have
you
him.
got in your third spot?
Yeah, my third spot. It's tough. I was umming and ahhing between Murphy and Bruno, but
Hmm.
ultimately I'm giving it to Murphy. I
Okay.
think yeah, I think Bruno. Need we say any more about him and how
Yeah.
he's been? last season, this season. Yeah, he started well, but Murphy I want to highlight. He's 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 kept himself up there with Elanga, obviously, where
Hmm.
Elanga came in and for the price tag he came in for. I think fans were expecting him to be obviously the first choice right winger. But I think Murphy's not shied away from that. I think Murphy's been pretty consistent in his play.
Hmm.
He's not
Yeah.
afraid to run at them going forward at our opposition, and he's not afraid to come back and help out. Especially today, the Bournemouth game, he was our best player in the first half,
Hmm.
which I'll touch on later on. But he got back as well. He made a brilliant tackle to stop an attack happening in our box. Just the whole start of the season, he's been phenomenal for me. Um, and he got the assist as well, obviously in that team goal against Barcelona. He's been a real asset to our team last season and this season especially. He's risen to the occasion and he's proven himself.
Hmm.
So
He's
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 my he's
brought.
my
Yeah.
he's my third.
Yeah, he's a
My
great
third,
shout.
third.
I completely agree with him. With you, I don't have him in my list, but he has started the season incredible, especially given the fact that he didn't start those early games. He kind of lost his spot to the new shiny toy, which is Anthony Elanga. But
Mm.
he's absolutely deserved to start the last two Premier League games. He was, as you said, incredible against Bournemouth today. Probably our most not only our most influential player, but also the player with the most desire to actually get something out of this game, which counts for a lot in my books as well when you have a game like we had today. Um, but yeah, Murphy always brings what you know he will bring, and that's the beauty of him. So I completely agree with you. Absolutely fair shout.
And I think his partnership with Baltimore as well.
Yeah.
I think there's been talk about it recently. I think I think they're going to be a really good
Hmm.
partnership as well. And I think that excites me more than
Yeah.
anything, thinking about it for the future. When Baltimore is more used to the fitness
Hmm.
and the hustle and bustle of the Premier League, I think it'll be a real
Yeah.
good partnership like Isak and Murphy were. Um, it's refreshing to think that, and I
Hmm.
think obviously when Wissa comes back as well, I think Murphy will be a brilliant talisman with him. I think
Yeah.
he brings that difference to our attack.
No,
So
I completely agree.
yeah,
Actually, every team needs a player like Jacob Murphy because he is so unbelievably perfect for what we want him to be. He's a local lad. He understands and supports the club, so he won't kick up a fuss when he sits out 2 or 3 games. But given his performances last season and at the start of this season, he absolutely deserves to get many games and get many minutes because he is still influential on the pitch. And as you said, his partnership with a new player like Voltemade, who is supposed to be very important to our future, helping him settle in more, taking the pressure off of Elanga's shoulders because he did have a difficult start to the season. And then it can help to just take you out of the spotlights for a couple of games. And we have that opportunity with a player like Jacob Murphy. Yeah, I completely agree. I can't say enough positive things about him.
mm.
How about
That's your number
your
two.
second spot?
My second spot. Yeah, it's been really tough thinking about it, but I think for me Dan Burn. I think Dan Burn
Okay.
has been a really strong player at the start of the season. Again, obviously, last season the elation for him of getting which us
Yeah.
fans class as the winning goal now.
It was. It
Yeah, it was.
absolutely was.
Yeah, absolutely was. Yeah, who was the other guy who scored? I can't remember. Um,
Did we score
uh,
another goal?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I think Dan Burn for us again for the start of this season and last season, he's been absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a local lad from Blythe as well,
Yeah.
he has that empathy. I think for
Hmm.
Newcastle, and he has that spirit that we so strongly hold. He's been so good for us. I
Hmm.
can't remember the last mistake he made. I can't remember him. Actually, saying that, I did say with the Barcelona game, his clearance wasn't very good. But that's just one in however many games he's played for us. I think he's
Hmm.
a great asset to our team. I think he keeps everyone the spirit of the team alive, being a Geordie himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic for us. the start of the
Hmm.
season. And hopefully, long may it continue.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's actually my pick for the second place as well, so I
Mm,
couldn't agree more with you. He's one of those players. As long as he can be the face of our club, I'd love him to be that because, as you said, a local lad, he gets the values of the club. But also, when other fans of other clubs get criticized, I think if we're talking Newcastle fans, maybe as a collective, we take ourselves a little too seriously at times. And I think
yeah.
Dan Burn is a very, very nice relief off of that because he loves the club as much as any of us do. He absolutely gets what it means to play for Newcastle United, but he also understands that the way we love our city and are proud of our city and our club isn't necessarily a resemblance with how other supporters are proud of their teams. So
Yeah.
they find that odd sometimes. And he understands it, but he doesn't have to lean into it. He doesn't have to exaggerate anything. He's just calm with it. He loves us in his own way. And I mean, the point I'm trying to make with this is he's a fantastic character to have around the club, as you said, to have as an image of your club. Because when people talk about the Newcastle United players, they are talking about your Dan Burns, your Joe Lintons, your Bruno Guimaraes, the players who actually understand it. But when you're talking about maybe, for example, a Marseille, it's a completely different topic. So that actually does
Mm,
really, really matter. And the on the pitch stuff, I mean, there is a reason he does not get dropped by Eddie Howe. He is he he himself knows his capabilities, but also his shortcomings, and he plays exactly to his strengths. You will not. I mean, Dan Burn will never lose a foot race anymore because he did so 2 seasons ago against Luton. I think that was the last game I've seen Dan Burn genuinely lose a foot race, and that's just because he doesn't get in foot races anymore. Doesn't do it.
mm,
He knows I'm
no,
not gonna win them. I'll let the fullbacks run after them, and I'll get into position to maybe cover for them if they slip up. And that's exactly what you want of your center back. And he's been doing that yet again. You don't get 3 clean sheets in your first 5 games with only one center back playing all those 5 games. Yeah, you have to
yeah.
give him so much credit.
Absolutely, yeah, and especially with the injuries we had, I think, the season before last with the Champions League
Hmm.
season, he stepped in and he played so well, and I
Yeah.
think that that obviously cemented his place as being a regular starter.
Hmm.
Obviously, Cher being out with his concussion as well, I think he'll be a good, he's good support. Obviously, I think Botman was brought in today for
Hmm.
Cher. Um, but yeah, he keeps that defense solid. His aerial duels are
Yeah.
brilliant. Obviously the height he brings. But yeah, as you've perfectly put, he's just been an unbelievable player for us. And
Yeah.
I'm glad we got him from Brighton as well.
Yeah.
And
Is
obviously he's
that
getting
one
on as
of the
well.
bargain transfers of the last decade?
I
I'd say
think
so.
if you put it in terms of the importance of
Hmm.
keeping a team as a team and putting in 110%, yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's been a bargain for us.
Hmm.
Um, Same with Lewis Hall as well, with the obligation to buy from Chelsea.
Yeah.
25 million, I think, for him as well.
Yeah.
So I think, we've had some real gems in the past few seasons. Dan Burn, yeah, Lewis Hall. I think, yeah, they've been absolutely fantastic.
Hmm.
But yeah, Burn as well, obviously getting on a bit. He's 33 now, I believe.
Yeah. Same age
So
as
he's not,
Cher, I believe.
yeah, not the youngest player, but
Hmm.
still putting in performances like he is.
Exactly. And
Getting
he's
get
actually
against,
popping up higher up the pitch as well, which
yeah,
surprised me a lot this
yeah,
season. But it's clearly something Eddie Howe is looking to do to play those long balls over the top. And having a
yeah,
player like Dan Burn alongside Valtewade, yeah,
yeah,
then you can
absolutely.
play long balls all day long.
I think that's what they did in the Barcelona game as well when they brought Walter on. I think the last
Hmm.
5-10 minutes, I think they put Dan Burn or Eddie
Yeah.
put Dan Burn up with Nick, and you
Hmm.
just thought, wow, what was yeah, it
Two
must be scary for
blonde,
defenders, but
tall blonde giants.
yeah, it was an interesting but a tactic. But I think I saw someone say somewhere it was like, is that the tallest attack we've ever seen?
It might be.
Yeah,
It
actually could
genuinely
be.
might be.
But yeah, I think I haven't got any quarrel story with Dan Burn. I think I couldn't say anything bad
Hmm.
about him at
No,
this moment in
no,
time.
I actually completely agree. He's a fantastic lad. I suggest then we move on to our number one position. It had to be Tonali for me. He is in my number one spot because I mean he the problem is when I want to talk about Tonali, I immediately want to throw terms around like best midfielder in the league and best midfielder in Europe, but we still have Bruno in our squad.
Yeah.
So it's even a question if he is the best or most important player or most important midfielder in our team. But let's just with those kinds of players, I'm not interested in comparing. Let's just appreciate the fact that we have the both of them and they complement each other so absolutely perfectly. I talked last week about Tonali being actually the coach of our press, keeping together the midfield with his arms literally in game, sending off the midfielders to press whenever he thinks or he sees fit. And he's been doing that yet again this season. What stood out to me today was every time we got possession in the midfield, Louis Smiley and Joe Willock's were facing Pope and were going backwards, and Tonali often just genuinely ran towards them, got the ball off of him, and did the whole 180 himself to get us up the pitch because he was clearly just getting fed up with all this passing around and building up from the back and taking it slow. He wants to drive us forward, which for a six who does do defensive output, which I mean, in my opinion, with every six people are talking about, it's either a deep lying playmaker or it's a destroyer. Tonali is absolutely both, and that I mean, the only other players in the league I can think of who do that are Rice and Rodri. That's the only other two,
Mm,
and I mean
absolutely.
that's great company to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even being in the discussion with players like that. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think number one for me would have been Tonali.
Mm-hmm.
He's just been that one consistent
Yeah.
player who's just he's always there. He pops up in the places you don't expect him to pop up. Um, his defensive work is second to none. He is a brilliant defensive midfielder at the same time as he is a brilliant attacking midfielder. He's so well rounded.
Mm-hmm.
He's so strong headed, and he keeps his focus on the game. He is there for the full 90 minutes. If it's going the other way, the other team, he will fight and try and make it our way. And I think, yeah, you touched on it today. He was the one looking
Mm-hmm.
forward, while the other two were looking back. And I think, yeah, he missed Bruno and Joe today. He missed
Mm-hmm.
Bruno and Joe
Yeah.
massively. Um, but for what he didn't have, he made up for in his performance, and I
Yeah.
think he was fantastic today. But yeah, throughout the whole season, he's been absolutely unbelievable, and
Mm-hmm.
especially after his gambling his gambling situation, the
Yeah.
way he missed 10 months. Since he's come back, he's not stepped a foot wrong. Maybe here and there
I
he's made
completely
a
agree.
simple mistake, but
Mm-hmm.
what an unbelievable player, and especially for the money we signed him for as well. I think that looking back now, that's actually also something I consider a bargain as
Yeah.
well. I think it was at
Yeah,
50 odd million
yeah,
we
yeah,
paid for him.
and I remember a lot of talk was going on around that price tag, especially on channels like Sky Sports, YouTube, for
Mm.
example, where those YouTube analysts, like we kind of are, came
Mm.
together and discussed transfer fees. At the beginning of the summer, that looked like an awful lot of money, but we have to remember that's the same summer in which Caicedo moved to Chelsea for over 100 million pounds. That's literally we got Tonali for less than half. And I'm not necessarily saying Tonali or Tonali is much better than Caicedo or Caicedo has or one of them has a much higher ceiling. My point is more Tonali is 2 or 3 seasons ahead in his development. And the only reason why his price tag isn't over 100 million is one, AC Milan needed the money, but two, Brighton knew where the money was. And for us to get those deals over the line is exactly what we need to do in order to be competing with those other clubs because we are getting the same level of player for half the price, which
Yeah,
we can only spend half the budget they can.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, he he just brings a different element. to our
Hmm.
midfield. Obviously, with Joelinton's physicality, that's his strong point. Bruno's spirit, I'd say, probably his biggest quality. But with Tonali, it is just all around. I cannot think of
Yeah.
another player. I know you said Rice and Rodri, possibly the only other two you could probably compare him with in any
Hmm.
comparison. I just don't think there's any other player like him in the league. I
No,
think
no, there
we're
isn't.
so lucky
Hmm.
to have his input in our game. Um, and yeah, he's just. I'm so happy we have him. That's all I can say. I'm just so
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
we have
I
him.
completely agree because people talk about you have to have different ways of winning games, different ways of breaking a game open. Tonali has all those different ways in his skill set. He can beat a man with a dribble. He can beat a man with a burst of pace. He can beat a man by shrugging him off. He can get the ball off of his man by giving him the shoulder or just placing his body in between his opponent and the ball. He for a diminutive midfielder, he's unbelievably strong. You cannot get the ball off of him when he's shielding it. He genuinely has everything in his locker. He even set pieces when he was in Milan. His set pieces were great. So that
Mm.
would have been my next question to you. Who do you think long term should be on our set pieces?
It's a really good question. Um, I don't know. I think just looking from previous matches that we've seen, Trippier is up
Mm-hmm.
there. I think with our set pieces, I think he's for the last few years he's always been the yeah. I mean, he took the corner obviously for Dan Burns' goal.
Yeah, yeah,
In the Carabao Cup, which I think is
absolutely.
actually it might be the last set play piece we might have scored. I don't think I could think of any other set pieces even from this
Um,
season. Um,
there aren't
but
coming any to mind to me either.
no, so
Was the
even last
Asula
season as
goal a
well.
set piece?
Uh, just thinking, was it set piece? I think that might have been a free kick, actually. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. Um,
I can't really remember. I
See, I
hope
can't
so.
really
I
remember
hope.
either myself. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going
Hmm.
back. Yeah, so it's a question. Yeah, Trippier, I think would be my pick.
Hmm.
You obviously don't want to use your Dan Burns and you Nick
No.
Walter-Mats. I think you want them in the box as the presence. There's the threat.
Hmm.
Um, and as you say, I think Tonali as well. His set pieces at AC Milan really exploited his opposition.
Yeah.
Um, and if we can get him to do that as well with us, I think that could be
Hmm.
a real turning point for our season as well. Because I think set pieces will be our front foot for the goals. I think we really should be or should have scored more from
Hmm.
set pieces we've had. Um,
Yeah, especially
but yeah, going
nowadays.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And especially with the
Hmm.
hype we have in our team as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Compared to all the other Premier League sides we have for
Hmm.
the league, and even Champions League, there'll be teams that we will tower over. And
Yeah.
really have to use that as our strong point.
Hmm. Yeah,
But yeah.
I agree because teams nowadays are putting more and more emphasis on the set pieces. I mean, Arsenal is obviously the leading example, but Arsenal is a very special case when it comes to
Yeah.
set pieces. But Brentford, Thomas Frank is now getting that over to Spurs as well. So set pieces are just getting more and more and more frequent. And we have a player in Bruno Guimaraes who wins more fouls than any other player in the league. So it
Yeah.
would
Did last season.
probably be beneficial to us to, I mean, spend some more time on set pieces. Having said though, we have just appointed a new set piece coach over the summer, so that will help us as well. And it is quite normal to not already see those fruits bear for or those training sessions bear fruit yet for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as you say, but yeah, the set piece coach coming in, yeah, obviously very fresh. Um, yeah, as you say, we can't rush to conclusions. So obviously, it's early
Mm-hmm.
days with that. Um, but I think yeah, we do need to improve on that front. Even with a new face, I think it's really important that he drills in some sort of plan for the
Yeah.
team, especially to Burn and Walter saying to them, look, make sure you are in X position so we can
Mm-hmm.
really infiltrate a team. Um, and I think questions will be raised if that doesn't improve in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But I also do think, as fans, we do have to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've always said, we don't demand a team that wins; we demand a team that tries.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, our team is doing that at the moment. Obviously, we've been getting. I know it's 3 away draws in a row, but that's
Hmm.
still 3 points.
And
We as
it's
much as we
three
haven't
clean
scored,
sheets as well.
yeah, as much as we haven't scored, we also haven't
Hmm.
conceded, and I think
Exactly.
that's almost as important as getting the
Hmm.
goals. But obviously, sticking the ball in the back of the net is our main main aim, as is any
Yeah.
other teams. Um, and the set pieces really are, I think, what we need to use for that. Um, and just
Hmm.
saying about the clean sheets, honourable mention for the most important players. Nick Pope this season,
Oh
I think
yeah. Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
he's been pretty solid for us.
Hmm.
I
He's
know he's
reacted
not been the
really well
best.
to Ramsdale's coming in. Oh, to Ramsdale
Yeah,
coming in.
absolutely, absolutely. I said I know he's not been the best last season, especially with his feet, his
Hmm.
distribution. But I'd say this season, obviously with Ramsdale coming in, I think he's thinking, hang on, I've got some competition now, and he's done really well. Is
Yeah.
it 4 clean sheets he's had this season now? I think is it 3 or 4 now
It's
for the
only
league.
Liverpool who have scored against us in the league.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Only
4 clean
Liverpool.
sheets for him, which is 4 out of 5 for him
Yeah, that's
is
incredible.
brilliant. And again today, obviously we'll go on to the Bournemouth game next,
Hmm.
but he's today his save was important with the free kick. I'd say he
Absolutely.
didn't set a foot wrong. I think there was one moment I thought, oh, that was a bit risky,
The
but apart from that, he was solid, and
one
I
where he didn't
cut.
come for Brooks who ran onto it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then he
Yeah.
slipped as he kicked it as well. Yeah, that
Hmm.
was a bit. But no, I think he's turned from a bad spell, and
Hmm.
he's really made a difference for us this season. And I may not be the most popular person for that saying that, but I have to give him credit where credit's due for us so far this season, and hopefully he can continue that form.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not necessarily someone who likes to bang on about ball playing goalkeepers because I very much am of the belief that what we have done over the last few years, having someone in nets who we just know is a fantastic shot stopper and nothing else, then just don't put him into a position where he has to do something which he's not comfortable with, because then you get into situations where you're going to lose the ball in dangerous areas. That's just an inevitability at that point. And Eddie Howe is really good in recognizing the strengths of his players. But we also now in Ramsdale have someone who is a bit better at playing out of the back. So I just say, if we do think that playing out from the back is one way to break down a specific opponent, in those games, maybe seeing Ramsdale wouldn't maybe. I mean, it would be a shock the first time it happens, but
Yeah,
after a while, when other people start to catch on what Eddie's doing, I think that could work as well. But right now, there's no talk of Ramsdale even getting a sniff, and that's all down to Nick Pope's form. I completely agree.
absolutely, absolutely.
Before we move on to the next section, I would like to ask one more question about this. It's a bit more of an on the spot question, but
That's fine.
obviously we don't like to drag our players through the mud. Oh, that's why I didn't want to prepare a top three out of form Newcastle United players.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask you, whose form, early season form, are you most worried about in our squad?
It's a really good question. Um, I don't know actually. I think I don't think I can say any better. I mean, today I think really highlighted it for me, and I think a lot of other of the guys with
Hmm.
M24/7. Willock, I think, it's interesting that he starts him. I think in a lot of games,
Yeah.
I don't think he has the same urgency that he used to have. He's quite sloppy on the ball. When he's making a run, I don't think he has that confidence bringing the ball forward. And I think for a team that are pushing to wanting to be one of the best in not just England but in Europe as well,
Hmm.
players of Joe Willock's caliber at this moment in time, I don't think are going to elevate us to those positions we want. Not saying he hasn't been a good player in
Hmm.
the past. I think when he first came to us on loan, and then when we brought him in, he was a brilliant player for our team, and still can be now. But it's I'd say it's a worrying time. I think for him as a player, his confidence will probably be quite low.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see that he's not at the levels he was. I mean, the game against Spurs where we won 6-1, the assist for Isak. Like that Willock is what we want
Yeah.
to see. Is what all us fans want to see. Um,
Yeah, I
but he
agree
seems to have
because
just lost that.
that Willock, I said it last week as well. I genuinely believe that Willock is on the peripheries of the England squad. I really do believe that. But it's been so long since we've seen that form of him, and I really don't like writing players off. But do you think it's a confidence issue, or is it more so that he's accepted that a starting berth for him at Newcastle United is just never going to happen?
I think. I mean, if I were him, the realization that we've got Joe Linton, we've got Tonali, we've got
Mhm.
Bruno, even Miley, I'd say
And
at
Ramsey
some
was just
points,
coming.
and Ramsey obviously who's just joined. Yeah, unfortunately he's been injured,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I
Seems to
think
be our
yeah
luck with new signings, doesn't
yeah,
it?
we are absolutely yeah. So it's been too long now. We haven't had signings, so this window was, I think, really important for us with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I think, yeah, looking at the midfield we've got and on paper, I think, yeah, the three we usually start in Bruno, Tonali, and Joe Linton. I think, yeah, I'd
Hmm.
also look, if I were him, I'd probably look at that and think, do you know what? Yeah, I can see why. Um, but I think, yeah, also with that, I think the confidence side, I think he is. I think he is lacking confidence. If he's not getting those starts, if he's not being used like he was used to being used, um, he will be lacking confidence. But again, if you want to be in that starting lineup, you need to turn it around and you need to put your head down, focus, train. Um,
Absolutely.
and that the only person who can improve him is him. I think Eddie will do what he can, but
Hmm.
Willock needs to also have that confidence in himself as well. Um, and I hope he does get it back. I hope he does
Hmm.
bring himself back and bring himself to the way he used to be. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, very well spoken. Because obviously we don't like to put our own players down. These
Mm.
are human beings. These are uh, every career is different. A lot of situations happens. Probably things we don't know about. He struggled with injuries as well, so it's always
Absolutely.
rough to talk about these things. But he does look a little out of his depth at this moment in time, and it's really unfortunate because the physical capabilities when he is fit are there. His pace, his strength, those are things you can't fault him on. But right now, it seems to be his decision making. It seems to be,
Mm.
like you said, his confidence in himself. Yeah, I struggle with him as well. My shout was actually going to be Harvey Barnes, because I think Harvey
Interesting.
Barnes is more of a player who is out of form than someone who is becoming a problem, like Joe Willock maybe is. Because I do genuinely believe that having a player like Harvey Barnes is an incredible depth option, someone to be able to bring off of the bench or use for specific opponents. But he is too one-dimensional to start for us. And when Gordon is suspended for three games again in a couple of weeks, and we have one or two injuries yet again, you have to rely on Barnes starting games again. And I think it's easy to scout Barnes when you know he's going to start. It's
Yeah.
easy to take a day out of a training session and tell your fullback this is exactly what Harvey Barnes is going to do over the weekend. And I think that's the reason why he's been found out at the start of this season, because he's not been able to come inside onto his right foot. Today, I even noticed against Bournemouth, he's usually running around the ball in a kind of a weird way just to get it onto his right foot and avoid using his left. And that just gives me Miggy Almiron vibes all over again, but
Was
then
going to
on the
say
other
he
side.
reminds me of Almiron. I'm glad you said that. Yeah,
Yeah.
the attacking passion is there.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely there, but it is spur of the moment things. I think with him. Um, I remember the other day. I think with a couple of the guys, I said I thought Barnes was okay. I can't remember what game it was for. It might have been Wolves. I can't
Yeah.
remember though.
I think he got some criticism after Wolves. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's turning into a bit of an Almiron, which
Hmm.
I personally I don't mind for the spirit of the team. Obviously, having the passion is good, and that's what us fans
Hmm.
have. It's one thing we pride ourselves on is passion,
Yeah.
but that also he needs to turn that passion into a finishing touch.
Hmm.
Whether that be an assist or a goal. We saw it last season, the game against Wolves last season where he scored
Exactly.
outside the box, top right corner, a lovely goal. Like stuff like that, he needs to be doing week in, week out if he's
Signature
playing.
Harvey Barnes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I. If Harvey Barnes is coming on for the last 20 minutes and we need one more goal, he's perfect in my opinion because he's one of those rare wingers who will only look to shoot for himself. And that I'm not saying that as a negative, but when you
Mm.
want him or ask him to play 90 minutes and you have a big tall striker who wants to combine with his wingers, in that case, maybe having someone who looks for an option at least 50% of the time is a bit more useful. And I think Gordon has more different strings to his bow.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say not as a striker either for Gordon, obviously, where he's
No,
been
no, no.
playing up there at the
Mm-hmm.
minute. I think Eddie needs to maybe rein that one in a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not saying that I know any more than him. Obviously, he's a manager for a reason, but
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's been proven or it's been
yeah.
evident
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
games that we've seen that
Which you can't
having Gordon
know
up
if
top,
you don't try it, obviously, but we have tried it
obviously.
now, so I do hope he draws his conclusions as well.
Yeah,
I hope so.
absolutely. But obviously, with the absence of Wissa, though, I think he might
Mm-hmm.
have to probably continue that. If hopefully he uses Waltermart more.
Yeah.
And it's good to see he got what was it, 70 odd minutes today
Mm-hmm.
for us. Uh, but yeah, I think Gordon needs to stay on the left because I
Yeah.
think that's where he thrives and that's where he's best and he wins us the fouls as well as Bruno, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then having Murphy and Elanga on that right side, I think
Yeah.
our attack is
It's really,
exciting.
yeah, it's really interesting you say that about Wissa being injured because I hadn't thought of that possibility, but maybe Eddie Howe is just trying to get Gordon into or trying to get Wissa integrated into the side through Gordon by having the players around him get used
Mm,
to a really pacey striker who doesn't really have the physicality or the height to go into
yeah.
duel, but wants to get him behind all of the time. That is what Gordon is, and that is what Wissa is. But Wissa has that
Mm,
finishing instinct when he's in the middle, and that's what Gordon lacks. And that's pretty much the only thing we've been lacking. So I do think that's a really big positive. So I am even more excited now to see Wisa come to the team.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't even think of it that way. Obviously get the team used to
Mm-hmm.
someone being that, electric and quick. I think it's a good point. Eddie might be doing that, which, if Wissa does come in and do that, I think, with the assistance of Gordon and either
Mm-hmm.
Elanga or Murphy on the wing, I think that could be a really exciting time for us. I think that could be really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, I agree. All
Absolutely.
right. Without any further ado, I suggest we move on to the last section of this podcast, which is today's game. Would you like to start about the Bournemouth game, or shall I start?
Um, I'll let you start. Let's hear what you have to say.
All right. When it came to today's game, the the one thing I already want to get off my chest from the get go is the second half was horrendous from us. We were defensively solid yet again, which has not come into question this season at all once. So I applaud us for that, but we did not create anything, and I mean anything, in the second half. And I mean, both in the group, and I think you said it today as well a couple of times, there was no sense of urgency, and that's a real big problem when you're 0-0 for the third time in 5 games at the start of the season, and you don't feel any pressure to get an attack going, to get at least a result over the line. That is worrying to me because it feels like the players are waiting for. It feels like the players are doing the same thing as we are, which is waiting for Visa to come back, waiting for everything to fall into place.
Mm,
But they do have to take this on themselves. And for a lot of players, this is an opportunity because when Wissa comes back, one of them will have to step out of the team if you want him to play.
mm,
So I am worried about what I saw in that second half. But as for the first half, I saw really great combinations from Nick Voltemade. Voltemade finds Murphy really well with his first time passes, which is very exciting for us because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember a lot of attacks last season where we had any first time passes, let alone one or two following each other. But
yeah.
if we have more than one player who is comfortable giving those those give and goes without controlling the ball. And I think Bruno is comfortable doing that. Voltemade looks comfortable doing that. That means you can literally cover the pitch in seconds with an
Mm.
attack. And for example, the Arsenal goal against, who did they play last week? Where it is Eze assisting Gyökeres.
Yeah. Oh, who did they play? I know exactly the goal you're talking about, though. I do know
I
exactly
mean,
the goal you're
yeah,
talking about.
exactly
Um,
that kind of play is something I am looking forward to see from us as well. Maybe not the way they just move it laterally forwards and then to Gyökeres, but just the fact that it's quick combinations. It's the fact
mm,
that players don't have to move. It's only the ball which is moving. And that's completely different from what we have been before. We have been the team which moves when the ball moves.
mm.
And if we can now become the team which make the ball move, that's another thing opposition have to be worried about. So positive signs, flashes of positivity, but overall a drab and disappointing affair.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. It was frustration, I think is the word I used
Mm-hmm.
earlier. A frustrating game is the first word I used because, as you said, the tempo we're so used to seeing, especially last season. It just is. It hasn't been there this season. I mean, we've had, as you say as well, flashes of really good play, and especially today with Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
his hold up play and his ability to stall the play until more players provide another option. I think that was really good. But he's also our striker. So
Yeah.
the further back he is, no one else is there behind him or ahead of him. And I think that's something we want to try and work around as well. I think when Wissa's back, I mean, having Voldemort back maybe as a centre forward behind Wissa,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that cam position maybe for him, I
Yeah.
think that would work. But obviously that's whole different tactics as well that Eddie would have to try in training.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, today highlighted our need for Wissa back. I think.
Yeah. Which is a
Yeah,
strange place to be, wanting a player back who hasn't actually featured for us yet. It's a
I
really
know.
strange
Yeah.
place to be.
But even when we with Congo on international duty, the game
Mm-hmm.
he was injured in, he scored as well,
Yeah, and he looked great.
which was a scrappy goal, I believe. But
Mm-hmm.
it showed that his intent though, his attacking intent is there. And we saw it with Brentford last season when he was playing with them. He had the same amount of
Mm-hmm.
goals or goal involvements, I think, as Isak last
I
season. I think it
think
was
I
not.
think at the same non-penalty goals as Isaac.
Yeah,
Yeah,
non-penalty. Yeah, same
yeah.
non-penalty goal involvements. Yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
19 goals, I think,
Yeah.
each. Um, and that's I think that's sorely missed
Mm-hmm.
for a team like Newcastle. I
Yeah, yeah.
think yeah, with our fast attacking play, yeah, but Baltimore does suit that, but not in the striker role, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that was highlighted today. Um, but yeah, defensively, I can't have too many complaints. I think everyone was pretty solid defensively for us. Lewis Hall back today as well
Yeah.
for I think his first start in a while.
Mm-hmm.
He was quite solid as well. I think I can't really grizzle at him too much.
Mm-hmm. No, I
It's his
think
first game back.
his first 20 minutes were a little shaky, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
showed that those were just nerves because it only took one great cross ball over to Tino's side,
yeah. Hardball ball
which
that was.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was a beautiful ball. And I
Mm,
think the crowd's reaction to that ball got him going. And from there, it was completely fine to actually
mm,
pretty good.
absolutely. I'd say as well with I know I praised him a lot today, but Tiao. He was a lucky man, I'd
Hmm.
say. I think the first
Yeah.
yellow, it depends. If it was a deliberate attempt to
Hmm.
to go with the arm, then I'd say yeah the yellow's deserved. But it looked quite harsh from my point of view.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second one, he was a lucky boy. I
I
think.
mean, with the second one, I would have found it harsh if he gotten sent off for that one.
Mhm.
Especially in the context of that first yellow card only being a couple of minutes earlier and it being a handball.
Mm.
But then again, the the phase where Nick Pope decides to not come for the ball and he pushes David Brooks away from the ball, I think that's where he maybe even got away with one even more.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
because that looked really, really strange to me to see someone just be allowed to push away an attacker without a ball really being near, because that was clearly a misunderstanding between Pope and Chow.
yeah,
Everyone saw
yeah.
that. I think
Mm.
we were a little lucky not to get any VAR on us there. But then
Yeah,
again,
absolutely.
I don't know what if you thought we should have had a penalty as well for the Diakite Voltemade incident.
I think any fan would want a penalty. Any fan
Mm-hmm.
would want a penalty. I remember watching it at the time. I was saying to my brother actually as well. I said I think it's a penalty here. But then when it slowed it down, watching the replays, he has got his shirt. He is pulling
Mm-hmm.
back, but I think Voldemort goes down a bit too easily.
Yeah, the
And I
thing
mean,
that I struggle with is he's pulling back and Voltemade is falling forward.
absolutely, yeah. So if he's going to fall anyway, you'd think he'd go with gravity, but no,
Exactly.
maybe not Nick today. Maybe not Nick, but yeah, I think yeah, he went down too easily, and I mean, if that was given against us, if that was for
Mhm.
Bournemouth and that was given to them, I wouldn't have been happy. And
No.
I think it was fair. I don't think it was a
Hmm.
penalty. I think yeah, he went down too easily.
Yeah.
Um, same with obviously the misunderstanding with Tiao and Pope. I think equally it could have been a penalty. It could not have been a penalty.
I mean,
And I think
the that was outside of the box, wasn't it?
uh, I might have been
Which
outside the
does
box
mean it would have
actually.
been a red card for Tiao if they'd
Yeah,
given a foul. So
yeah,
maybe even better then.
yeah. Maybe it was maybe it was lucky it played out the way it did.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, no, I think yeah. Um, Yeah, no, not a penalty in my books.
Mhm.
And again, I may not be popular for saying that, but I think it would have been a soft penalty for sure
Yeah.
for us. Um, and I don't think I really want to be reliant on iffy penalty decisions
Hmm.
to win a game. I think we're good enough now
Yeah.
that we can score from open play, and we should be able to
Hmm.
score from open play. And I think today we should have get teams like
Hmm.
Bournemouth. I think we should be beating. Um, Obviously, they've had quite a good start to the season for themselves, and they can be a bogey team for us. I think them and Brighton are our big bogey team, the two South
Yeah.
Coast teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm about 10 miles, maybe 15 miles from Brighton myself, but yeah, it's they're both them
Yeah.
Bournemouth and Brighton
And
teams like that are
mhm.
solid teams that I think we struggle to break down.
Yep.
But I mean, I'd take a 0-0 draw against them instead of like a 4-1 loss that we had last season for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, very
Um,
much so.
yeah,
Yeah, but you do make a very good point about if we did get the penalty given today and we win 1-0 again, we get 6 out of 6. I think that does paper over the cracks a little bit, because it means we just have a completely different conversation today. We're talking about 6 points out of 6. We're finally getting the season on track. We're getting somewhere. Whereas the conversation now is clearer towards we are lacking something in attack. There is still some issues that need working around, and we're not saying we don't back Eddie Howe to work out those issues, but we do have to be honest about the fact that these issues are there and do have to be worked out. So yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, I agree. It's yeah, it was what it was worrying today. I think
Hmm.
it's the other word I've seen pop up a lot. It was worrying. I
Yeah.
think that we struggled to even
Hmm.
look at scoring a goal. Um, yeah, and I think yeah, missing Worcester.
Hmm.
I think missing Gordon today a little bit actually as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not a striker or wing. It
He's
depends
yeah,
where
he's
he would
just
fit,
all
but
he's always busy, he's always tenacious, he's creating stuff for himself and for teammates. Yeah, we sorely missed him. I agree.
yeah,
Very much.
I think yeah, absolutely. But we touched on it earlier as well. But the set pieces, the one thing I want to highlight, I think from the game today, that we kept attempting to do, but not actually. It didn't actually come in clutch for us. Was the long throw-ins into the box?
Hmm.
Yeah, Livramento on either side. The throw-in would be fine. I think the throw-in was fine, but that you had Burn, you had Voldemort, and you had someone else. I can't remember who it was. Each time there, you have the three tallest players there, and it would be
Yeah.
a Bournemouth head on it. And
Hmm.
we kept doing that over and over again. And I think again with word frustration, I think it was so frustrating just watching that
Yeah.
happen, um, especially for a team so tall. You
Hmm.
can't be losing out to
Yeah.
players. shorter than you. I think, yeah, and they got in the way of each other, I think, a lot as well. Obviously, you want the taller players there, but they also were blocking each other, I
Yeah.
think, at times. Um, and yeah, on top of that, the set pieces. I think, yeah, the corners going in and free kicks. I think it was just, it felt sloppy. It felt quite sloppy. And for a
Hmm.
team like us, who last season I think set pieces were okay, actually for us, it's yeah, quite sloppy and worrying that we can't capitalize with those.
Hmm.
And as I said earlier, obviously it's the start of the season, and I think we do need to be patient. But at the same time, I think in the next couple of weeks we need to see a turnaround,
Yeah.
especially with set pieces. I think that's yeah our main strong point, and we should be using that.
Hmm.
And I think fans
No.
will start
Hmm.
turning. I think if we don't,
Yeah. Yeah. You're very right. Do you have a guess at what our XG was after the game?
after
90
today's game,
minutes. Yeah, 90 minutes
yeah,
of football.
I think I saw on Sky or I think it was Bournemouth was 0.43, and I believe that ours was not 0.14, 0.13, something like that.
The worrying thing about that was I think that's the halftime XG, and
Ah,
Bournemouth XG is the only one which has gone up afterwards.
wow, we said the same.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
we
Very
didn't we
interesting
didn't put up any expected goals at all in the second half, which is really worrying if you're Newcastle United because
for our away form, especially.
yeah,
Yeah.
as we've said before, there was no urgency, there was no real desire to get that late winner, which is something I've been frustrated with for a long time. We are a really, really good side when it comes to protecting a lead, seeing out a game. Last season, we got in front in 15 games and saw out 12. So that's fantastic.
Mm.
But when we go behind, we really do struggle to claw it back. When we do come from behind, it was often Alexander Isak last season who just scored out of nothing and turned a losing game state back into an equal game state.
Mm.
But at this moment in time, when teams get in front against us, they just get back all of them all at once. And when they do so, having such a fast attack, having such a physical midfield and front line doesn't really matter anymore because when a team sits in that deep, you need technically gifted players.
Yeah.
So or at least a bright idea how to break those deep lying blocks down. And I think Eddie Howe will have to take some time to sit with Jason and his men and have a real conversation about how we are going to score more goals this season because it is starting to become a worry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think today as well, we missed we missed Bruno and we missed Joe
Hmm.
today. I know they obviously were probably being rested
Yeah.
after a good game, I'd say, for them on
Hmm.
Thursday.
But very much an
Uh,
exhausting game.
yeah, and yeah, as I think I've pointed out earlier, Willock today, I found he wasn't there.
Hmm.
And I think we've mentioned the urgency. I don't think it was there with him. If he lost the ball, he wouldn't go and get it back. And I think he did track back.
Hmm.
From what I witnessed. And as I think Paul put in the group, Miley was just anonymous. I think is the
Yeah.
perfect way of putting it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was good. It wasn't that he was bad. It felt like he was lost on the
Hmm.
field. Whether that's I know injury coming into I think end of last season coming into this season. I think he did have an injury. But he just looked lost and.
Hmm.
He didn't know where to go. A bit like a deer in the headlights, is the way I'd put it. And yeah, Paul put it perfectly. It was just he was anonymous and he was non. It felt non-existent
Yeah.
in a lot of the game. And I think we had Bruno and Joe in the middle there. I think that game was a different game. In
Hmm.
all honesty, I think honestly that the three midfielders we have for the first team, I think that changes the game completely.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much it very much does with the tempo. I think that's the most critical part to what made this game so boring to watch, especially for a neutral, I imagine. But yeah, I couldn't agree more with Paul. He was anonymous, very much so, but obviously we're a little more forgiving of that due to his age.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you also can't expect him in such a difficult game as this was to drag us through on his lonesome. But I
Mm.
think Eddie Howe left him out to dry a little bit because in my feeling, both during the game and afterwards, was that Eddie Howe had kind of decided both his 11 starting or his starting 11 and his substitutions, and when those substitutions would be taking place, no matter the game state, no matter the scenario. And I mean, that's the only explanation I have for bringing Lascelles on past the 80th minute.
Yeah,
Leaving both of the Brazilians on your bench and bringing on Lascelles, I love Lascelles, but he's not going to win us that game, not at all.
It
So
wasn't a bad sub for Thiaw, obviously being the defensive player.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
the only other player you could possibly put in was maybe Kraft, but then that means you've
hmm
got three
yeah,
left backs or right backs, to play in defence.
hmm
But yeah, I think I personally I would have put Bruno on for Willock
yeah,
in the half time, even a half
hmm
time, just to give us a bit of an oomph. I think that would have allowed Tonali to do a lot more, and also Bruno he would also do a lot more with that, but that would also allow Waldemar to then go a bit further up, and then you'd
hmm
have a Langer on the wing or Murphy even. Um, I just think that Willock and Miley won't bring what Bruno and Jai would bring. But obviously, I
no,
understand from Eddie's point of view and Eddie's perspective that he's probably resting them for the next couple of weeks.
hmm
Um, because I think we got Bradford. I think we got next, haven't we?
yeah,
And that'll be a weak team. I think Ramsdale will see for the first time as well.
hmm
Um, but yeah, yeah, I think we missed them today, and I think that's where we not lost the
hmm
game because we didn't lose, but I think that's where we let the game go away.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, I agree. I think in an ideal world, Ramsey would have played today. I don't know
yeah,
whether that would be instead of Miley or instead of Willock. He probably offers more similar things than Willock does. So
yeah,
I imagine those two would replace each other. But then
mm,
that still leaves Miley, and I don't necessarily see how Ramsey's inclusion would have been so much more beneficial to Miley that he would have had an exponentially better game. So yeah, very
yeah,
good point. I think Miley, this is one of the games for him to forget about. Not
yeah,
learn from, please do learn from it, but
yeah.
the feeling around it, the disappointment he must have around it, that can be forgotten.
Yeah.
As for me.
Yeah, no, but I would agree with that. Yeah, say especially for a player who doesn't start, I think as
Mm-hmm.
much as Miley does,
Mm-hmm.
is very rare for him. So
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
think a few more starts and he probably get back into the groove like where he
Mm-hmm.
was when he first really came into the team and
Yeah, I
was
very much
used.
hope so. I'd love it if he got some more minutes this season because I do want
Yeah,
him to start kicking on because that's actually another midfield cover signing you make without spending any money is when
exactly.
he's ready and fit to just rotate in and out of the side with, for example, a Tonali or a Joelinton, because he is the only midfielder, in my opinion, who possesses the physicality to potentially give Tonali a rest. So that
Yes.
is something to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well today. One more thing, if we can add on.
Obviously, of course, go on.
Yeah. So I think Paul again mentioned this in our group, but
Hmm
Osula. I
Yeah.
think he was used out wide
hmm
when he came on, and Alanga used for being the talisman up front,
Yeah.
which Paul put perfectly. I think it begs the question: does Eddie trust in Osula to be that answer up front as well? And
I.
I don't think
Mhm.
Eddie actually rates him as much as we fans maybe thought before. Um, I'd love Osula to do well. I think he brings a great character to the team. He's vibrant, and I think we do need that around. But if he's not going to put the performances in, and I think if he's not playing to the best of his ability, that can be a real hindrance for us. And
Mhm.
I think Eddie's losing a bit of faith, I'd say, um, in him. But I hope that's not the case. I hope he
Mhm.
is going to find a bit of form and it can be used. But it's almost like Eddie's afraid to play him. Um,
Yeah.
we've seen with Gordon be up front and Alanga today. I think it's an interesting thing
Mhm.
to look at. Um, especially we bought him from Sheffield and yeah, and we've nearly sold him. I think at the window, obviously. But
Yeah. For near 30 million pounds, and I mean, it was said that Frankfurt is expected to come back in for an offer for him. So, would you be interested in taking that money?
uh, I think for 30 million for him would be good. I think it's I'd say probably above what he's
Hmm.
worth.
I
Um,
I tend to agree.
yeah,
Hmm.
not 30 million. But I'd also say having him as a backup option for Voltemard and Wissa, I think it's an option that we have to keep close, in case they both get injured. Because if we don't have Osula, then
Yeah.
again we have Gordon that we'd have to go back to, and that's not ideal for us, I don't think.
Hmm.
Um, so if I mean 30 million, I probably wouldn't say no to, but at the same time, I'd also think for the interest of the team, do we need to keep that extra player?
Yeah.
It's yeah, pros and cons
Yeah.
on both sides.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. I don't really know what to make of the Osula situation either. On the one hand, I love the player as well, especially for his character. But to this point, in my opinion, the only thing he's really added to the team has been when he's come on a lot of energy. But if that's it, I mean, I'll work on my condition and I'll run around St. James's Park for 10 minutes if that's what Eddie Howe wants me to do.
Mm.
So I do think it would be wise of us if Frankfurt were to come back with that money to consider accepting it if we were able to, let's say, sign a championship forward for 15 million. That doesn't necessarily have to be a young talent who you are taking a gamble on as well, such as Osula was, because we have our gamble striker
Yeah, yeah,
for the window. But just bringing in someone who knows where the back of the net is, who can come in when, I mean, all the chips are down, because when he is starting, it does mean you have hit a really bad strain of luck. But then at least you do have someone, because I do agree only having two strikers does leave us closer to having Gordon back up front than I would like us to be.
yeah. Yes, definitely. But saying that though as well, looking at some of the youth teams we have,
Hmm.
I think is it Sean Neve? Is it we
Yeah,
have for the
yeah.
under 21s? Yeah, he
Hmm.
looks like he could be a promising talent.
Hmm.
And I hope he is considered going forward because it's a really interesting. He's had a good start to the season for the
Yeah.
under 21s, I believe,
Hmm.
and also is it Sanusi who's gone out on loan, I think
Yeah.
to is it Leighton Orient? I think it was. I can't remember who it was he went to. We got exciting players, I think, and Cordero who we got from Malaga. As well, and beating Barcelona, Real
Yeah.
Madrid. I think we've got a real player on our hands with him
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah, I hope he
So we,
starts. He gets more minutes than he has at the start of the season in Belgium, because when he does, I'm definitely going to get some Westerlo games to do some real life scouting on him. As
yeah.
for Sanusi, he's joined Lorient in France, but they have
Oh,
just
okay.
been re-promoted to the Ligue 1, so he is playing top flight football. So that can only be a
Okay.
positive.
So that's positive. He's getting used to top flight. But though
Mhm.
saying that, that is the French league, which is
It is, but
completely different.
it is completely different. But look at the players who have come from the French league to the Premier League. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes is one who comes to mind, obviously.
Very true. Of
Botman is
course.
one who comes to mind. But
Yeah, from
if we're
Lille. Yeah.
looking away from our club, I mean, Bournemouth have had a lot of success shopping in France with the likes of Ouattara, who has come from Lorient.
Mhm.
I mean, the Scums Enzo Lefebvre has come through to Lorient. So they have they have some pedigree when it comes to developing talent. It's just that once that talent hits a certain level, they leave.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Ligue 1's problem.
yeah, yeah, exactly
They
that.
leave
So,
either for Paris or abroad.
somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so I suppose in the past years for us, I mean, Kabaye we've had
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah, yeah,
well,
very
and
much.
Sissoko as well, I
Yeah,
believe we've got from the
Tovin.
French
I mean,
side.
he wasn't good for us,
Toban,
but
look at
For
him now.
France and for his Italian, Mexican, and French teams, he has been absolutely vital. So yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, great shout.
Yeah. So yeah, we've had some good players from I suppose the French league in the past, yeah. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Is there
so
anything more you would like to add on the Bournemouth game or anything other Newcastle related over the last week?
um, no, I think it's just been overall for the week. I think it's been a testing week. I think for us, I think
Hmm.
it showed that we are there for the games. We
Yeah.
what we are we're there to defend and we are there to
Hmm.
attack. Um, but as we've said throughout the whole session, I think that the lack of goals and the lack of ability to score at the minute is a real worry.
Hmm.
Um, but it's as I've said, it's still early in the season. We've
Yeah.
got with so many games to play, um, and I think actually the loss of Isak and the whole situation over the summer, I think that is still being felt inside the club. Um,
100%. Yeah.
I think a lot of the players are feeling quite disheartened from it, but at the same time, he's gone now.
Hmm.
We are now playing our own games the way we need to play them. And I think the players just need to take that with them and say, yeah, let's make a difference. We've got to get on with it.
Yeah.
We're playing where we play. Good riddance to whoever he was. Um, um, but yeah, I think I think it's worrying that we're not getting the goals.
Hmm.
But I'm hoping for the next in the next couple of weeks. I think a game against Bradford. I think that hopefully will bring a bit of confidence. Obviously, a weaker side that we will play.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, we need to get a game with a few goals
Hmm.
in, and I think that will
Exactly.
hopefully give the players a bit of oomph and say
Hmm.
if we can do that against this opposition, we need to be doing it against better opposition as well. So
Exactly.
let's
Yeah.
let's look forward to the season and let's hope we can make a difference
Very
this
well
couple of
put.
weeks.
Very well put. All right. In that case, I think that's where we are going to leave it for today. I would like to thank Joe very much for joining me in the second episode of the Magpie 24/7 podcast. Please head over to our socials on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, Magpie 24/7. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you are listening this on Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. And I would like to see you in the next episode, which maybe will be with Joe, maybe will be with someone else. We will see. Have a good one.
Hey, take care.